How's it going, guys? Welcome to another live stream, a late night Sunday live stream, but I wanted to go live to talk about a few things today. I don't think we're going to go the typical 60 minutes, but we'll see how long this one goes. Welcome to another live stream. I know if you're joining on the East Coast, it's definitely a late night live stream for you. But as you join this live stream, again, welcome. Let me know where you're joining from. Post it in the live chat over here. Let me know where you're watching from, guys. Welcome. So I posted a video today, and we're talking about, in that video, the top 5 illegal things that drivers may be doing with rideshare, with Uber and Lyft, right? And that got me thinking, okay, when you're driving on the road, and what I found really is there is a unique circumstance. There's unique differences when you're driving for rideshare than when you're driving, just personal miles. There's things you need to be aware of. Of course, there's things you need to be aware of anyway when driving, but there's some specific things when it comes to rideshare that we're going to talk about today, and it's about expecting the unexpected. These are things that I found when I was driving, when I'm out there, especially when those bar hours kind of roll in. These are things like, hey, I didn't even think about this. These are things that everyone needs to know about, and you probably already know some of these. If you're new to rideshare, you're going to need to know some of these because these are some actions that I saw from traffic, my driving, from passengers that I really wasn't thinking about before rideshare. We're going to talk about that today, expecting the unexpected. We're also going to be talking about day versus night driving, and I'm sure there's going to be an interesting debate, discussion about that. The day versus night driving, pros and cons, whichever you prefer. And finally, we're going to talk about how your driving has changed, because I know mine had changed starkly from when I started rideshare versus now. And if you're just starting on a rideshare platform, it's going to be interesting to hear this discussion because, again, when you're driving, you're just used to personal driving, right? It's okay, well, hey, I'm driving my car, just someone happens to be in it. I'm going to have good customer service. That's that, right? But there's something that changed in my driving style, and a few things that I changed specifically for the Uber and Lyft apps that helped me out. We're going to talk about that. Thanks for joining, guys. Let's see where you're joining from. Francisco, as always, thanks for joining. Jose Contreras, San Francisco up north. I appreciate you joining. Uberman Tampa, I saw that video. I appreciate you watching that. Francisco as well. Rudy from Denver. Hey, Rudy, how's it going? Uberman Tampa says, that's the first thing you don't do, especially with the low pay. Leave the bar hours alone. Uberman Tampa, of course, coming from Tampa. Yusef, wow, from Bolivia. Thanks for joining. What time is it over in Bolivia? Guys, these are the things that you need to be aware of. Let's jump right into it. This is going to hinge on that video that we posted today about maybe illegal things that drivers are doing, but here's what you need to be aware of when driving. We have a few notes that we're going to go over today. Vince from Torrance, California, appreciate you joining. You need to anticipate movements from others, specifically turns from others. And a lot of this will say, well, hey, yeah, of course, I know this. This is all standard practice of driving things. But again, the trends that I saw when I'm driving, these are things that stand out for me. This is why we're talking about it, because there's a lot of things that are standard practice. Well, hey, of course, I know to yield to my right. I know this and that, a 3-second stop at a stop sign, what have you, right? I know I have to follow 3 seconds behind a car, etc., etc. But these are things that I found with rideshare that really stood out, that I'm like, hey, I wasn't really aware of. And remember, we are responsible for everyone in the car. You are the driver. You're responsible for everyone's safety. We're going over these things because this is what I found stood out in rideshare. Again, anticipating turns from others. One of the top things that I see when I'm driving is you should have an idea of the roads, kind of the layout, the map, your market when you're driving, specifically on ramps from other cars. If you have an on-ramp that's coming from your right and that lane is turning into, it's continuing on into an exit-only lane, you need to anticipate that as you see these cars coming on the on-ramp onto the highway, that they're going to move over. What I like to do is if I see cars coming on the on-ramp onto the highway, and again, their lane is going to turn into an exit-only lane, I try to position myself in front of or behind those cars and not next to those cars. We drive a lot of unfamiliar roads, okay? And you don't know. Maybe that lane is going to become its own lane. Again, it'll become an exit-only lane. I always anticipate that, again, if you're right next to somebody or if you're slightly behind them, you're going to be in their blind spot. So try to position yourself in front of or behind. And another thing, I see drivers, we're not talking rideshare, we're just talking drivers that are approaching a car at speed, at a higher speed. We're not talking about speeding. And they're approaching a car, right? And there's a car, let's say there's a lane next to you in the left, and there's a car in front of you in the left-hand lane, and a car is approaching that vehicle at speed. Anticipate that if someone's driving, it looks like they're driving more aggressively, okay? A less aggressive driver is going to brake and yield basically for that driver in the lane next to you. It can be either lane, left or right lane, that's going too slow for them. A less aggressive driver is going to brake. What we need to anticipate is that this driver may be more of an aggressive driver, especially again if they're approaching that car at speed. Anticipate they're going to turn in front of you. If they're on the right side and you see this car coming up, they're approaching a car that's going slower, anticipate that they're going to whip it over to the left, pass that car that's going too slow, and turn in front of you. Likewise, if it's in the left lane, same thing. Anticipate that car that's coming up, it's going to turn in front of you and pass you on the right, which it shouldn't be doing, right? Technically, you should pass on the left, but you need to anticipate these things. And again, guys, I understand we're not necessarily going back to driving 101 here, but these are things that I've noticed that I make mental notes of that I anticipate. That's the thesis of this live stream is anticipation, and I feel like it's put me in a lot safer positions on the road. Let's catch up with you guys. Hey, Kay San Diego from San Diego, I appreciate you joining. Uberman Tampa, if you want to make the most money, let the apps take you where they want to take you. Don't develop a strategy. Also, drive using the 15-second rule. See 15 seconds ahead of you. Good point about visibility, guys, especially at night. Added time from the car in front of you is more and more reaction time, safety, especially at night. I try to follow at least 3+ seconds behind the car in front of me. Uberman Tampa, if you have a 3-lane road, if you ride the left lane, you have an 80% chance of a head-on collision. Middle lane, 40%, right lane, 20%. Fantastic point in there from Uberman Tampa. Guys, I didn't write this down, but what I do when I'm driving is I always stay in the right lane unless I need to pass, basically. And again, guys, we're having this discussion because I want you to be safe out there. I want myself to be safe out there. And these tips help you personal driving or rideshare driving. I always try to stay in the right-hand lane because I think we all know that if you're in the middle lane or if you're in the left lane, seemingly sometimes it does not even matter how fast you're going to be going too slow for somebody. Next note here, specifically for rideshare. One more point about anticipating turns, guys. Turns where someone is turning left, if they're across an intersection from you, and they're turning left, okay, and they have a yield on green. Left turn yields on green, okay. You are supposed to have the right of way when going straight there, but I want you to anticipate that as well, okay. If you see someone edging out as the light is changing, if it looks like they're just gonna gun it and go in front of you, if they're not paying attention or they don't care, anticipate that as well. My next note that we were talking about specifically for rideshare, passengers opening doors, okay? And this I found the most in the bar areas, okay? It doesn't really matter if you're in a neighborhood drop-off. It doesn't really matter if you're in a rural area, the malls, the grocery stores, not as much there. What this pertains to specifically, passengers opening doors, is if passengers open doors that are into traffic, right? We all know we want to make safe drop-offs. You can pull off to a side street, around the corner, or you can pull right next to the destination at the curb. And typically, passengers are going to exit the vehicle like they would a taxi, any other shuttle vehicle, and only open the door that is on the curb, and then they're going to exit at the curb, but not always. Anticipate passengers that may want to open the door into traffic, right? The door that it's facing traffic. Use your side mirrors and check, because I can see them doing this. You can hear it, you can see it coming, and there's not much you can do to stop them. I know if your vehicle has some way to lock the doors, or maybe your vehicle has something specifically, but use your side mirrors. Say, hey, wait, guys, watch traffic. I see cars coming. Can you please exit out the right side here? KC, what's up? KC's in the building. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Uberman Tampa says, always triple check your sides and don't push your way in. Be patient. No one cares if you're in a hurry. Arrive alive. Yeah. Uberman Tampa, everyone, guys, no one cares if you're in a hurry. And I don't understand seeing some of the drivers that I see, that we all see on the road, okay? I guarantee half of it is ego, half of it is young kids or whatever that just got their first car, or they got someone they want to impress, and half of it's ego, or someone that is just doesn't have control over their anger. Again, I try to stay away from all of that, because someone that wants to speed, if I'm in the right-hand lane, they have 2 lanes or more to pass me. They're not going to be mad at me, because they're going to be zipping by me if they're in the right-hand lane. They're going to get far over to the left-hand lane anyway. Hey, Jason, I appreciate you joining. Jason Whitaker. Gustavo says, one lesson for all drivers, never assume the other driver will give you the right of way. Yeah, Gustavo, guys, you're providing great tips here. Don't assume. Don't assume. And one of the things that I can talk about there is when you're backing up or when you're changing lanes. Don't assume, and something that I try to make sure that I always do, and I'm guilty of not always doing, is checking your blind spots, okay? You can use your mirrors, right? Your rear view mirror, your side mirrors, but there's a blind spot, okay? On most every car that I can think about has a blind spot where you can't see using your mirrors. You have to turn your head, look behind you, check your blind spots, and again, don't assume, because there have been times where I myself admittedly, you go to make a lane change and there's a car right there in your blind spot. Always assume. That's a great point. Uberman Tampa, to Gustavo's point, says, anticipate drivers will assume they have the right of way. I always pull into a lot, a side street, somewhere that the door won't face traffic. That's a good point, Uberman Tampa. Again, guys, our second point today was passengers opening doors. And this was, guys, if you're doing, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, guys. If you're doing the bar rush crowd, they're out partying, they're not really even paying attention, they may have already had a good time already, check your side mirror, say, hey guys, what I've said actually is, hey, I see some traffic coming actually, there's a good amount of traffic, could you please just exit on the curb side? And there's really never an issue with that. Third point, guys, anticipate passengers' movements. Okay, this is wide reaching for a few things. First one, speaking of opening doors, anticipate passengers as you slow down. Hey guys, I'm going to drop you off right here at the intersection. We're right up here. I'm just going to pull over right over here. I'm going to drop you off. Anticipate passengers opening the door early while you're still moving. And this could be, again, in the last 4 or 5 feet once you're pulling over to the intersection, the curb. Most likely, I didn't see that much, but do anticipate that. Say, hey guys, I'm just going to pull right over there. Just give me 1 second and let them know. Just hold on. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to pull right over here, especially as they're eager to get out. Nextly, walking in front of your vehicle. This is moreover of something that I've mentioned when you're driving, again, college areas, bars. You need to anticipate not even just passengers, but pedestrians walking out in front. The example that I always use is you can look over to your right. You see somebody walking into the street. They're looking away at their friends. They're saying goodbye. They say, hey guys, see ya. I'll see you later. And they're looking over towards their friends, but their feet, and they're walking into traffic. They're going to cross the road. Maybe it's at a crosswalk. Maybe it's not. I know some tight areas near the bars, it's pretty congested. Cars aren't moving that fast, and passengers will jaywalk regardless if there's a crosswalk or not. So be cognizant of that. Third point about anticipating passenger movements. I'm going to check up with you guys here really fast. And I think we're caught up here, guys. So we're going to keep going here. The next point is, this is a big one, guys, is you need to watch for them to clear your vehicle before leaving. Okay, so everyone's unloading from the vehicle. I found this surprisingly more in rural areas, more in neighborhoods. I think this is because, it's not the rush of getting to the show, the restaurant, the bars. What I mean by this scenario is you're dropping your passengers off, and if it's in a neighborhood, again, they may open both doors if it's in a neighborhood because it's not the traffic, there's obviously nobody coming, and that's fine. I have no problem with that when it's a very low traffic area. So everyone gets out of the car, they close the doors, but passengers on your right side, let's say you are parked and they may walk around the back of your vehicle, or vice versa. If someone's getting out the left side, they may walk around the back of your vehicle. Make sure everyone clears the vehicle before you leave. And again, what I mean by that is visually see, okay, 4 people, 4 passengers, have everyone left to the front of my vehicle, the rear of my vehicle, the blind spots where I can't see anybody before you try to move your vehicle, before you try to leave the drop-off area. I see some comments coming in here, guys. I appreciate you joining. Uberman Tampa says, I always place my flashers on 100 feet or so before the drop-off. I say I'm looking for a safe place to drop you off. Absolutely. Also, yes, clear the vehicle. Make sure you see them all walking away from your car. They'll often hang around your vehicle, and that is exactly it, guys. I've looked behind me, I've looked in my rear view, and I can see somebody. They're talking, they're hanging out. I have to wait. If they take too long, and say, hey guys, can you just step aside for a second? I just need to leave real quick, and let them know. Next point, guys, and this one is a big point that I notice a lot in the city. If you're driving in the city, actually, let me know right now. Let me know if you're driving in an exceptionally large market, let's say large metro. Are you driving in a medium-sized market? Or are you driving in a small rural market? Let me know right now in the live chat. And there's nothing special today as far as a beverage, which we always update you guys on every live chat, is just water today. So let me know, are you driving in a big metro city market? Are you driving in a medium-sized market? Or are you driving in a small rural market? Uberman Tampa says medium market. Lorenzo says medium market. Michael says Dallas to Fort Worth area. Michael, thanks for joining. I'd say here in San Diego, I'd say a large market, medium large market. I'm coming from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is a small medium market. San Diego, I would put at a medium large market. Places, of course, like Los Angeles, New York City, of course, large, exceptionally large markets. M. Silver Hammer, thanks for joining. As always, extra large South Florida. All those tourists and whatnot down there makes for a lot of rideshare rides. Gustavo says, I'm in an intermediate in a small market where it's mountainous and curvy, California. Michael says, Dallas, Fort Worth is massive. All right, guys, good to know. And again, let me know. We're asking what kind of market you're driving in, large metro, medium, or small, more rural market. So guys, this is what I found in exceptionally more of the city areas in your market, okay? Crowds, wherever it's at, crowds, okay? Backing up in large crowds. Anticipate tons of movement. Backing up in large crowds. Guys, I'm kind of at a handicap nowadays. I have a 2010 Dodge Caliber. There is no backup camera on that. And I'm looking at possibly getting one installed, but at a slight handicap as there is no backup camera. I know a lot of cars now have that standard, have a backup camera. But even moreover, even if you have a backup camera, you need to check, and I even do this out of parking lots, guys, and there's not really a crowd there, but I have found that for some reason, people can really pop into that back area without you knowing it very quickly. So when I've been in concerts, sporting events, the bar at 2 a.m., which is just flooded with people, you have to be extra careful when you're backing up in crowds. If you're backing up, let's say, off of a side street, okay, for whatever reason, if you're parked somewhere, if you're in a small parking lot that's in a college area and the kids are walking around, what have you, be exceptionally careful, please, guys, when you're backing up, because people could really walk in front of your vehicle, technically in the back of your vehicle, without you knowing, very fast. Rudy says, prefer to drive suburbs, metro, Denver, large market. So guys, right now, if you're just joining, we're talking about anticipating the unexpected. And you can see it down here, the itinerary of what we're talking about today. We'll also be talking about, when we're going into this shortly here, is day versus night driving, and which one you prefer, the benefits of day versus night driving. But again, right now we're finishing up on our first point, which is anticipating the unexpected and safety issues, safety things to be concerned, to be aware of when driving for rideshare. So I appreciate you joining, guys. If you just joined the live stream, or if you're just watching this live right now or the rebroadcast, appreciate you guys leaving a like on this video. Shows me that you get value in these live streams, in the videos that we post on this channel. And we just posted a few, and we may get another one up tomorrow. That's a may, but we're getting a good amount of videos up recently. But if you like this video, consider leaving a like on it. Gets more people in here, more eyes on the Your Driver Mike channel, more people on the Your Driver Mike team, and boost us in YouTube's almighty algorithm, and we really appreciate it, guys. So, one more thing about safety and anticipating the unexpected. And this is something that if you're new to rideshare, this will be maybe a surprise if you're new, you're saying, hey, or even if you drive those. This is a perfect transition scenario, by the way, into our next topic, which was day and night driving, is if you typically don't drive those bar hours, you say, hey, you know what, I'm going for it, I'm going to do it. Or if you're new, you're saying, you know what, I'm going for the busiest time, I'm driving 10 p.m. until 4 a.m. Here's something to consider. Parking in crowds. Parking in crowds, whether you're waiting for that big concert to let out, if you're parking near a stadium for sporting events, if you're parking next to the bars, which is something that I like to do because you're going to be in the center of surge and you can really pick and choose your ride. When you park in crowds, there's a lot to anticipate. Here's what I found parking in crowds. Guys, if you park in crowds, and if these are events where people are drinking, people are partying, there's going to be maybe a few people that are going to cause some, I don't know if I want to say issues, but things are going to happen. I've noticed that people will lean on your car. People will smack your car. People will fall onto your car. People may spill things on your car. People will absolutely, definitely do this. Listen to this, guys, and I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you've driven these hours, you know that you can relate to what I'm going to say here. If you're driving those bar hours, and if you're parked specifically in crowds, you will have people knocking on your window, or less politely slamming on your window, let's say, wanting to request a ride, wanting to get in, asking if you're their driver. That is absolutely going to happen. It's happened a good amount of times when I park in a crowd at an event or bars. Now, it's kind of comes with the territory, okay? Well, I don't want to park in the crowd. I want to park farther away. You can, and that's fine, but you may not be in the center of surge. It may be harder for you to get into the area depending on how far away you parked. There may be drivers closer to you, etc. But keep that in mind. What I have done is if you're in a market where there is a main street or a hub for your bars, what I like to do is just park one side street off of that. Or I'll drive down the main road, I'll turn left or right and park perpendicular on one of those side streets. So you have everyone walking, hanging out on that main strip by the bars, and I am really unseen and untouched on those lesser lit side roads where I can relax, I can read whatever I want to do, I can look at the apps, and I don't have the commotion, all the lights and the people of the main street. That's a big tip, and you'll still be right next to the bars, but consider that. Parking on one of those quieter side streets, and you don't have to necessarily park in the crowd, because again, guys, I've had people come up and knock on my window while I'm in traffic because it's bumper to bumper traffic at the bars, and they would want to request a ride, they'd want to get in, again, they think that I'm their driver. Catching up with you guys. Uberman Tampa says, my Lincoln has one, referring to the backup camera, but I always turn the flashers on and tap the horn, pause, and proceed with caution. Not a bad idea. I've had people standing in a parking spot, because they're overflow from the curb from the bar, and they're standing in a parking spot, and you have to maybe tap on the horn, and of course, usually they get mad, but they're standing in a parking spot, so you'll have that. Uberman Tampa says, when they touch my car, they get the horn, laying on the horn more so. Gustavo says, door slamming drunks are annoying. That's another thing to anticipate. And Gustavo brings up a good point, is I don't even think it's intentional. I don't think they realize that they're doing it. But if you're driving that bar crowd and they have been drinking, they may slam your doors. And it's either I think it's hey, let me just make sure this door is closed because I don't know how hard I need to close this door because it's a different car, or they're just jacked up on energy from going out, whatever it is. But yes, I have had people slam my doors, and I feel like my car it sounds like it takes a little bit more damage from doing so. My doors sound pretty hollow, but yeah, not good. I think it's a little bit more seldom than I thought. I didn't get too many in Pittsburgh, at least. I don't get too much of that, but you can anticipate some people slamming doors. Again, this really pertains to the bar crowd. All right, I think we caught up with you guys. So let's go into our next topic here, guys. Donald, in an accident last week, you'd have to tap into Uber's or Lyft's insurance. I'm thinking there, or rideshare insurance if you had rideshare insurance if you're in an accident. Guys, let's go into our next topic here. Oh wow, we've been streaming for 27 minutes, guys. We're going today. Is it day and night driving? Okay. What are the benefits? And we just kind of implicitly talked about a few of the benefits or the disadvantages of night driving, maybe, of day and night driving. Okay. There's really, and why do we say day versus night driving? Specifically the mornings, early afternoon, or the after 8 p.m. Anything in between, I don't really advise to drive the noon until 3 p.m. maybe, that little 3-4 hour window there. At least what I found. Your market may be different. That's why you need to research demand trends and find when your market is busy. Again, for those of you that are in Tampa, like Uberman Tampa, maybe your market trends differently because you have a large amusement park or college, what have you. But let's talk about day, morning, early afternoon driving versus night driving. And actually, let me know right now. Let me know if you have a preference. How you schedule your day. If you schedule it to drive, do you drive morning, skip the afternoon, and then drive the evening? Are you driving solely the evening bar rush hours? Or do you drive solely the morning rush hours? Sure. Let me know in the chat below. Rudy, do you insist all passengers wear seatbelts? I try to. Yeah, absolutely. I say, hey guys, seatbelts, and they usually, put the seatbelts on pretty easily there. Now, depending on your laws, I know in PA at least, Front passengers are required by law to wear their seatbelts. Rear passengers, from my understanding, at least in Pennsylvania, are not legally required to wear seatbelts. But again, regardless, I'm saying, hey guys, do you mind putting on the seatbelt? But especially always mandatory for the front passenger, just because, again, my understanding from the law is, hey, guy, I need you to put your seatbelt on, when they sit in the front. So a few things about a day and night driving. Let's talk about the day driving first. Okay, so one thing should be synonymous with driving during the day. And especially in the morning, again, we're talking about the mornings here. The first thing you should think about is airport runs. And what I've always said with airport driving is check your airport's website and look at departures. Look at the first departures for your airport. I know, at least for Pittsburgh International, it was 5:50 a.m. or so, 6 a.m. was the first departure. So I would typically get passengers heading to the airport starting at 3-ish a.m., 4 a.m. definitely for those first flights. So if you are someone that wants to get up early, if you don't really want to deal with the bar crowd, at 2 a.m., wait a couple hours and drive 3:30 a.m., 4 a.m., and you'll start getting those airport runs. Number 2, traffic. Traffic during the morning, especially those earlier hours, okay, 3, 4, 5 is when I started seeing traffic really becoming a little bit more dense on the main arteries in the city. But you will know based on your market. And again, that's why it's so important to know all kinds of trends in your city. Traffic. Traffic may be easier in the morning. Now, it should especially be easier at night. But I did find that, if you're hitting the hours where people are actually going out, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., traffic may still be pretty busy. And here in San Diego, and for you guys in California, traffic is almost always busy. It almost really never lets up. So I am finding that at certain times, not always, but some of those later hours that would be, let's say, a little bit clearer in Pittsburgh are a little bit more congested here in San Diego. So that's why, again, it goes to show you that it really varies by market. Gustavo says all passengers should wear seatbelts because of insurance reasons. Absolutely. If you get into an accident and your passengers weren't wearing a seatbelt, that's just one piece of evidence, something that could be argued against yourself, saying, hey, the driver didn't ensure that the passengers were wearing the seatbelts. I can't give any really legal advice to that, but I can see how that could be used, attempted to be used against you as a driver. Lorenzo, thanks for joining. Lorenzo says night because of much less traffic on the roads. There we go. And it is often very steady, I assume because less competition for rides. That's another good point. Let's talk about that. We're going to talk about surge in prime time. And again, you need to know your market. Okay, if I said 4 a.m. for your city, if I said 9 p.m., and again, we can break it down even more. If I said 9 p.m. downtown, if I say 11 p.m. college area, 5 a.m. downtown, you should be able to know when surge in prime time is typically in your market. You should know where it's at, specifically in the city, and at what time. So if the morning is better for you, if it works for your schedule, if the traffic is less, like we mentioned, absolutely. I would take advantage of that. I would do those airport runs, which depending on your city, where your airport's at, it may be pretty far. In Pittsburgh, those were 30-minute rides, typically. Here in San Diego, it's pretty close to downtown, but traffic may make it a 30-minute ride. Again, depends on traffic. Nighttime driving, surge, guys. We know that people are headed out. Hey, Ali, I appreciate that. It did. Yes, it did. Hey, Ali, I appreciate the super chat. Al says light up, and yes, guys, Sal just activated the Philips Hue light, which is connected to super chats. I appreciate that, Al. We'll leave that up there. It's supposed to be green, I guess. It's kind of, yeah, it is green actually. You can't really see it on the screen there, but it is kind of great. I appreciate that, Al. Cool, it is cool. I think it's a cool feature. I'm losing my train of thought here, guys. Surge. Yes. So if you know those demand trends, at any hour, at any area of the city, you should have a general idea. And that's what will help you stand out in general from other drivers. Next point, guys. The bars. Do you, and let me ask you guys right now, 2 questions. Because we went over the meat of what I wanted to go over for day and night driving. Knowing what you know now, and knowing what you know before coming into this conversation about day and night driving, do you prefer day driving or night driving? Put a number 1 in the live chat if you like day driving more. Put a number 2 in the live chat if you prefer night driving more. You could be driving both, but which do you prefer more? Number 1 for day, number 2 for night driving. Our last point about night and day driving is the bars. Do you want to capitalize on surge that is centered around the bars? Okay, house parties, bars, is especially if you have a college town nearby. Do you want your surge to come from that? Or in the mornings, do you want your surge to come from hotel demand, airport demand? Okay, or even the morning rush for people going to work. Okay. For me, I'm usually a night owl, more so in Pittsburgh than here. My sleep schedule is super different here in San Diego than it was in Pittsburgh, where I could stay out until about 4 a.m. Here, not so much, but I feel like I like the night driving, kind of the excitement of being out there at night, people going out, the energy of that. But it comes with the balance of trying to manage people who are going out partying to the bars, especially students. I am here near a university, just like in Pittsburgh, so it's a trade-off, guys. Just to let you know that. I'm sure that's not new to you. If you are going to drive those bar hours, get the accessories that I recommend. You are going to need sick bags just in case. And we do have a video. We did a live stream about what happens if someone does get sick in your car, because guys, it could happen. We're throwing it back to purple. All right, guys. Pretty mixed. Okay, let's see here, guys. Jack, hey, thanks for joining. Jack says here in Philly area, and that's pretty late over there in Philly. I appreciate you joining. Jack says here in Philly area, the surge is almost impossible to speculate. It's all over the place. And I'm wondering why that is. Jack, for anyone, for guys, if you're in a market, well, surge and prime time seem unpredictable. Try to find some reason for it. Try to map it out. Look at the same areas 15 plus times during the day. Open that app. You can even write it down. Say, okay, downtown, no surge. College area, surge. Arts area, no surge. You can go into as much depth as you would like. But I usually try to keep just some mental notes of when and where it's surging. But there needs to be some kind of pattern, because I feel like if your market truly is unpredictable with surge prime time, you don't really have any advantage when you're hitting the road. It's a lot of guesswork when on the road. I want to eliminate as much guesswork as possible. So if anything, maybe analyze certain areas. Okay, well, this week I'm just going to analyze downtown. I'm going to look at downtown 15 times every single day for a week, and I'm going to track it. I'm going to look at the college areas and try to see over a few weeks even if surge is prevalent or not. So Rudy, let's take a little a vote here, guys, or a poll. Rudy says the day. Jose says the day. Gustavo says the day. Jack says the night. Emmy says the night. Al says the day. Bart says the night. Jack says definitely make more money at the night. Jack says writing it down is a good idea as far as demand trends. So guys, we're pretty split here. It's 4 for the day and 3 for the night. And what that tells us, and it's really encouraging actually, what that tells us is there's no right or wrong if you want to drive the day versus night. There can be earnings either way, the day or the night. There's different strategies and there's different pulls. Surge is pulling from different areas. Again, hotels, people going to work versus restaurants, clubs, people going out, house parties later at night. Again, depending on the day of the week, depending if you're in a tourist area, if you're got a college nearby. I don't know your specific market. You need to research and know where surge is pulling from. And also, don't lean on the same things month after month. 6 months from now, 12 months from now, is surge going to be pulling from the same areas at the same time with the same amount? Maybe yes, but maybe not. Don't assume it's going to all stay the same, and I don't need to check the app. I don't need to research any demand trends because it's all going to stay the same. What about seasonality? Do you know how long you've been driving for? Do you know, well, yeah, June and July, it's going to be the same as August, September. It's going to be the same as January, February. The bars are going to light up. The restaurants, I know how this works. And you never really revisit that. Remember seasonality as well. There's a lot of factors that really go into this. And again, that's kind of why I encourage doing tons of research. That's why I'm in this app every single day to try to find demand trends. Let's jump in it right now, actually. So let me show you something. I like showing you guys examples. So right now, there's 50 to 100% prime time on Lyft. That 100%, as you know, is a 2x on Uber. Let's find out where it's coming from. Not much, actually. But we see a little bit of prime time surrounding the airport. And the Lyft app just slingshots us back home. But in a few areas around the airport, there's only 22 drivers in the queue right now. That may be why. And one towards a shore area. And here, let's show you guys. It actually just moved again. Moreover, around the airport, a little bit north of downtown. And I can tell you, because we've been in this app a lot in this past week looking for demand trends, that I've noticed more and more nightly demand around downtown, north of downtown. So that lets me know that, hey, if I don't know where to go, if the app is relatively slow, there may be prime time or surge downtown, especially now. Let's say reasons why. We're rolling into spring, maybe the weather's coming, maybe there's conventions. Okay, we can get into a lot of detail, but in general, I've been noticing more demand in the downtown and north of downtown areas. Really got to catch up with you guys here. Have you seen a change in what you make with a 10% rate change? No, not really. Again, guys, I know a lot of, well, actually, here in San Diego, I don't even think we got a rate change. I think I was up in LA. I don't believe San Diego got a rate change. That makes me curious now. I want to look because I have not looked recently for San Diego. It was 116 a mile here. I'm blanking. Let's find out, guys. And, oh, well, it's displaying the surge amount. Okay, it's not. Well, we'll have to find a base. Whenever it gets to base fare around in this area, we'll have to check. But all right, let's catch up. You can now turn off pull in the new Uber app. Speaking of the new Uber app, I know a lot of us have not seen the new Uber app, and I know one of you guys mentioned when everyone's going to see the new Uber app. If you have not seen the new Uber app, it will be coming. Uber rolls out a lot of these things over time, over a couple of weeks. It already has been a couple of weeks. But if you've not seen the new Uber app, it should be coming if you haven't gotten it yet. Jose says, but I start in the afternoon until I complete 12 hours. You can start in the afternoon if your market, if it makes sense for your markets, right? If the traffic's decent, because my fear, if you're really rolling into that 3, 4, 5 p.m. hour, here in San Diego, it gets absolutely slammed on the roads. Up in LA, no way. If you're in a market that gets slammed like that for rush hour, you're not making a ton of money per mile because you're not really You're not moving, and moreover per minute, right? Because you're stuck in traffic. So it's all making sense. If you can find ways around traffic and it makes sense, again, for your market, then I think that's fine. And Jack says, I personally have made more money from a dinner hour to around bar closing. I think it's a pretty good hour. If we talk about what, 6, 7 p.m. until bar closings, 2, 3 a.m., I think that's a solid block. I think a lot of drivers do that block because 6, 7, 8, you're having people going out to dinner. They didn't want to cook. They don't want to order in. They're going out. There's a lot of shows, theater, etc., sporting events even as well. Concerts a little bit later, but then you go into the bar crowd that's going out, at 9, 10 p.m. Jose says, Sunday's always busy at the airport, but please don't accept Lyft Line or Uber Pool. Not a fan unless you're trying to do some kind of quest or guarantee. Lorenzo says, do you think Sherpa Share is useful? I have not used Sherpa Share, but I have seen the app and I have seen other people talk about the app. I feel like it would be useful. Now, guys, Sherpa Share allows you to track your miles and it also classifies rides as personal rides or business rides just via a swipe in your trip history. So in that sense, I feel like it can be helpful, but I haven't used it personally. Jack says, it's a shame measuring trends with food stamps is actually a thing in this country, referring to how much money you are making from rideshare, maybe. Okay, guys. So we went over day and night driving. One last thing I wanted to talk about. We're actually right on time. This is great. 46 minutes into the stream. If you haven't done so already, guys, if you haven't done so, can you please, really fast, just takes 1 second, if you can please leave a like on this video. Shows me that you get value in this very live stream, in the videos that we post. We just posted a few on this channel. Gets more people in here, more people on your Driver Mike team, and of course, it boosts us. I don't know why I made that a plural, boosts us in YouTube's almighty algorithm. If you can please leave a like if you haven't done so already. Last topic, guys. This was a really interesting one to talk about. And I was thinking about this, and it was really interesting to analyze your own driving style. How has your driving changed? Let's just focus on rideshare specifically, not personal driving necessarily, but although that probably has changed. How has your rideshare driving changed from when you started rideshare to now? And I think it would be helpful to know, how long you've been driving for rideshare. Let me know. So let me know how long you've been driving for rideshare, and how has your driving changed since you started rideshare. So let me tell you a little bit about what I feel has changed with my driving. Even more so, just the gig economy, just being on the road more, using my car for some additional income, definitely made me think about, getting in the car in a different way. Before it was just like, okay, that's my car. Now it's, I can do so much with that car. It helps me make deliveries. It helps me take passengers. It helps me, what have you, hit those surge runs, etc. So obviously, some of the logistics sides, knowing the streets, shortcuts, scheduling. I know in Pittsburgh especially, I knew those streets, but I really knew those streets once you started driving for rideshare. And I think you guys agree. The more and more you're driving for rideshare, you get more shortcuts. You know the neighborhoods better. Guys, I knew exactly which roads had that awful pothole on it, or which roads were absolutely beat up, inclined, cobblestone. This is Pittsburgh, guys. Pittsburgh streets. Cobblestone inclines or downhill roads that I really didn't want to go on, etc., etc., and all those bridges. So I feel like I knew a lot of it. It made me feel more comfortable on the roads. I feel I knew those roads, okay, well, I need to avoid this road. I know this road is really chewed up. I know I can go through this neighborhood. It's pretty quickly. There's multiple ways to get to certain areas. You get to know that level of expertise, and that's not new. Everyone in the taxi industry, that comes with the expertise, right? So that definitely affected my driving, is just being smarter on the road, especially when it comes to navigation, I feel. Second point, adapting, and this is what we're talking about earlier, adapting to surge trends. Let me know if you've done this, guys, but when I first started, hey, Jose, appreciate that. Let's wait for it. There, there it goes. Jose, I appreciate that super chat. Jose dropping the $5 super chat and activating the Philips Hue light, guys, which is connected to super chats. Jose, I really appreciate that. So when I started driving, it's, I literally I went online. Okay, I'm free. I get in the car and I put the trade dress on. I just went online. There's really no strategy to it. And I did watch rideshare YouTubers, and I was on driver forums. I know a lot of drivers, they don't do any of that. You sign up, you have a friend that drives, you ask them a little bit about it, and then you just go online and you start taking rides. And even with I did a lot of reading on those forums, and I watched a good amount of videos. Even with that, you're still new to the platform. You're brand new to the app. And just going online, okay, I know Surge is over here, probably chasing Surge a lot more than I should, and all of that, you don't know. So I think now I'm very, very calculated with when I drive, where I drive, how long I stay in an area. Okay. There's so much that comes from expertise, and I hope we can lend that to you on this channel a little bit here, guys. Something we haven't really touched on too much on this channel is if you're in the bar area, this happened plenty of times. If you're in your hot zone, I know this area is going to have surge, and downtown starts exploding with growth, with not growth, with surge. Sure, yeah. If demand is what I meant. So if downtown starts exploding with demand, or over up north by the college area that's just exploding with demand, your expertise, and after driving on rideshare, you need to know, okay, is it worth it for me to go for it? Because I know typically we talk about 3 to 7 minutes you can chase surge a little bit, but when do you need to cut the line and say it's dead here? I could sit by these bars all the time versus the college area is going 2.2, 2.6, 2.8, 3.0. And when do you have to know, okay, the bar area is never going to change for the next 45 minutes to an hour. I need to get up there. So that's how a lot of my driving has changed since starting with rideshare. Is again, that comes with expertise. It comes with knowing the demand trends. I always say research the demand trends, and it depends on every single day. Okay, what if it's Thursday night and you know that one bar in the college campus explodes because it's trivia night. And this is a real thing. This is what I saw in Pittsburgh. Certain bars just super popular with the students because it explodes with trivia night. The drinks are really cheap. That's the go-to place on Thursdays, etc. Or that convention is coming in on Monday. People are flying in on a Thursday, especially for big games. We'd have people flying in Wednesday, Thursday for games on Saturday, Sunday. So that weekend's going to be exceptionally busy. But demand's coming from the hotels, not necessarily from the students. So being smart and calculated with surge, I think, is a big thing. And that's one of the biggest things that I found about how my driving changed. Let me know right now in the live chat, though. How has your driving changed? How are you more strategic? What lessons did you learn since starting to drive with Uber and Lyft? Let's throw this back to purple there, guys. There we go. And while you're typing that, let me know again, how has your driving changed since you started driving for Uber and Lyft? And again, let me know how long you've been driving for. The last point I was going to make is about accessories. Is when I started driving, again, doing the research that I did, reading the driver forums, watching the YouTubers that were talking about the rideshare space, what accessories did I kind of want to have versus accessories that you really need as a driver? Number one accessory, the thing that if there's really one thing that I would get as an accessory for a rideshare driver, it's a dash camera. And we talked in that video that we posted today is make sure you have any kind of disclosures if you need to. If you're recording audio on the interior of your cabin, okay, and some states you can record video, but not audio. Again, it's not legal advice. Just make sure you double check on your single party versus dual party consent requirements. But the number one accessory that I got, and I got shortly after driving, is a dash camera. But when I first started, I had water for everyone. And I know that's kind of one of the things. It's like, okay, well, I can get a case of water at Costco for like 8 cents a bottle or something crazy like that, whatever it is. And it's super cheap, doesn't even cost me anything. Not even a lot of passengers take it. But the one thing that caused me to completely ditch the water, and you'll find this on the video titled, "You Don't Need This," those top accessories that you do not need as an Uber driver, and I mentioned water. What caused me to ditch the water was we had those little ones, guys. We're talking the little, 8-ounce things of water from Sam's Club. Is a lot of them went half drunk, and passengers usually would take them with them. They'd be nice enough, they'd usually take them with them, but not always, so you'd have garbage, right? But I had a girl that during the busy time, again, I'm out during the bar hours, she left it half open and it spilled all over the back seat, and it's not something that I can instantly dry, okay? And I had the seat cover. I even had paper towels in the back for detailing the car. So, and even I believe I had a towel from somewhere too, but that is I couldn't even completely dry it. And when I ended up, I was just trying to clean it up with the paper towels as much as I could. I ended up putting the towel in part over the spot where she had spilled water. But I was like, that's it. I'm done with this. It's kind of a pain that, again, half of them weren't even getting touched, or they drink half of them, and she had spilled. And again, it was a good half of that bottle or more on the back of my seat, and it was just a pain. Now, again, would that have happened again, or would that happen if I wasn't driving the bar hours? That could be different. And it's super cheap. It could maybe lead to tips. It's up to you guys. But it's more trouble than it's worth. And I had to reach back. I always had to check the things, and sometimes they're on the ground, etc. So accessories is one of the things that also changed from my end from driving from when I first started here. Let me know, guys. We only have a few minutes left. All right, guys. Gustavo says, patience is key. Let others make fools of themselves. It ain't worth killing yourself for a fare. Jack says, Mike, I don't even know what surge was when I first started. And a lot of, that's to Jack's point about not even knowing what surge was. It's kind of silly for us to think about, but the last time I went to the Uber support center, there was a new driver next to me talking to the Uber rep. And that is the exact question that she asked the Uber rep. She was asking about surge. She's like, what is surge? What are these red areas on the map? And she was asking those questions. And it was such a basic question in my mind. She was asking, what are these red areas on the Uber app? And there's really so much research that we should be doing before we drive, and it's really not there. So hopefully people are finding some of these videos. People are going to driver forums and doing some research, because if you just go online, I remember I had somebody tell my brother is a driver as well, he still drives in Pittsburgh. Somebody told my brother, hey, I was out here outside of the city, and I saw downtown was surging, and I drove to downtown, but it disappeared. It was gone by the time I got there. She was 30 minutes outside of the city. She was 30 minutes south of the city, and she saw surge downtown, and she drove towards downtown, which seemingly I think a lot of us know there's no way from a strategy standpoint that would really make sense most of the times. Now, it can make sense sometimes if you have a destination filter. If you know that rural area is absolutely dead and there's a massive football game that's downtown, that would be my strategy sometimes, versus waiting forever in that area south of the city. But she drove into downtown because there was surge, right? There was surge, there was higher earnings there, but she was 30 minutes outside of the city. So education. A lot of us haven't even talked about that in the rideshare space. Why hasn't Uber and Lyft done a little bit more to encourage some kind of hub for learning, walkthroughs, something like that? Of course, there's a driver help centers, right, which is good. But I'd be curious to see for new drivers what kind of tutorials, walkthroughs, help centers, etc., would be in the app for new drivers. John, I see you from Indiana, PA, Midnight Rider. I'm late to the party, but hello, everyone. Hello, John. Thanks for joining. Lorenzo says, I just started last week. The last week of March 2018. I feel like you picked up a lot of useful ideas. Great to hear that. Appreciate it. Nifty Tan. I don't get the reference. Talking about something there, Nifty Tan. I don't know. Emil T says, been only 8 months, got smarter by watching YouTube, LOL. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Am I reading that right? MET. Yeah, appreciate those kind words. And we have a lot of tips on this channel, guys. A lot of tips to help you out that go over some specifics, some high-level stuff. We have a video that does really well on the channel. It's called What's the Difference Between Surge and Prime Time? These are basic questions that seem basic to expert drivers, but if you're brand new to the system, I have no idea what is prime time, how it works, why is it different colors, what do the numbers mean, all of those things. So I'm glad that could help you out. Jack says, referencing the girl spilling water in your back seat. Nifty was talking about rice. Yet I know you can try to repair your phone by putting it in rice, I guess. That's what we're talking about. But that's everything I had here, guys. We just went over the 1 hour live stream mark, as we typically do here. So I appreciate you joining. Any other final questions here, guys, on this late night Sunday live stream, guys? Before you go, as we typically say, I know there's a lot of over here. There we go. I know there's a lot of good suggested videos right over here. YouTube does a great job. Before you go, if you haven't done so already, can you please leave a like on this video and something else? And if you've already, well, hey, Mike, I've already left a like on this video. What else can I do? If you know another driver, or if you know someone considering driving for rideshare, share some of these videos out. You can click the share button. You can share it on your own Facebook. You can email it to somebody. You can just share it with anyone that's in the rideshare space. If they're a new driver, or if there's something that you think would benefit a current driver, I'd also appreciate it if you guys share this video out. All right, guys. So I think that is it for tonight. It's a nice late night live stream. Hoping you're having a good day here, guys, and hoping you're having a good week tomorrow here, start of the week. Appreciate you watching, guys. Any other questions, feel free to post them in the comments below. If you're watching this live or on the rebroadcast, I really appreciate you guys watching. I do try to answer every single comment, so again, feel free to leave a comment. That is it, guys. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.